The vacuum law of prosperity. You have heard it said that nature abhors a vacuum. It is particularly true in the realm of prosperity. The vacuum law of prosperity is one of the most powerful, though it takes bold, daring faith to set it into operation, as well as a sense of adventure and expectation to reap its full benefits. When a person is honestly trying to be prosperous, is thinking along prosperous lines, and still fails, it is usually because he needs to invoke the vacuum law of prosperity. Basically, the vacuum law of prosperity is this. If you want great good, greater prosperity in your life, start forming a vacuum to receive it. In other words, get rid of what you don't want to make room for what you do want. If there are clothes in the closet or furniture in your home or office that no longer seem right for you, if there are people among your acquaintances and friends that no longer seem congenial, begin moving the tangible and intangibles out of your life in the faith that you can have what you really want and desire. Often it is difficult to know what you do want until you get rid of what you do not want. Let go of the lesser. Inevitably, in your life experiences, you will find that when the good you wish has not appeared, it is usually because you need to release and let go of something to make room for it. New substances do not flow easily into a cluttered situation. If you want greater good in your life, what are you letting go of or getting rid of to make room for it? Nature does abhor a vacuum, and when you begin moving out of your life what you do not want, you automatically are making way for what you do want. By letting go of the lesser, you automatically make room for your greater good to come in. Recently, a couple used this vacuum law of prosperity in furnishing their new home. From their former home, they brought only the furniture they really liked and felt appropriate for the new atmosphere. They fearlessly gave away a great deal of their old furniture and simply left bare spaces in their new home. Visualizing those spaces filled with the kind of furniture they definitely wanted. For a while, nothing seemed to happen, but they remained steadfast to their vision of beautiful, appropriate new furniture. Then one day, the husband, who worked for a large company, was placed on a merit point system. As he produced certain prosperous results for his company, his points of merit increased. These points could be applied toward a number of tangible rewards, one of which was furniture. A businessman had been trying for a number of months to sell his home because he was being transferred to another state. He heard about the vacuum law of prosperity and realized that though he had earnestly desired to sell his home for a number of months, he had done nothing to form a vacuum of any kind through which his desired good could begin manifesting. And so he sat down quietly in his study one day and mentally pictured each room of the house as empty, just as it would look after the house had been sold and he had moved out. He visualized a vacuum of emptiness everywhere. He then made notes concerning the furniture mover he desired to handle the moving and mentally worked out all the detailed plans of the move, just as though the house was already sold. Within a few days, a buyer appeared who liked everything about the house and gave him a check for the thousands of dollars equity, as well as for the down payment involved. Form a vacuum for health. Whenever you dare to form a vacuum, the substance of the universe then rushes in to fill that empty space. This applies on the spiritual, mental, and physical planes of life. A businessman got very sick for weeks and was under his physician's care. Every possible thing was done for him medically by his doctor, a very fine physician. But it all seemed to no avail. This man just got weaker and weaker. It seemed that his body was filled with poison, and nothing seemed to dissolve it. Finally, one night, perspiring from a high fever and deep cough, this man finally remembered the vacuum law and realized that there must be something he needed to release. Since he knew that the mind and emotions have such a powerful effect on the body, perhaps there was some mental attitude or emotional feeling that had to go to help eradicate his pain, fever, and weakness. He became very quiet and silently asked divine intelligence to reveal to him what he needed to release. Suddenly, he began to think of a person against whom he had been holding a strong grudge. He had said a number of unkind things about this person and had gone to great lengths to hurt him. He then mentally reviewed the events between them that had caused the grudge and his later desire to hurt that person. As he honestly thought about it, he realized that the other person may not have known that his feelings had been hurt from the events that took place, and perhaps there was no reason for him to hold a grudge at all. There never is. As he lay in bed with a high fever, he began to declare over and over, "I fully and freely forgive you. I lose you and let you go. So far as I am concerned, that incident between us is finished forever. I do not wish to hurt you. I wish you no harm. I am free and you are free, and all is again well between us." In a little while, a feeling of peace, quietness, and release came over him. For the first time in many nights, he slept peacefully. The next morning, his fever was gone, and his physician declared that the poison miraculously left his system overnight. At long last, he was on the road to recovery. Through forgiveness, this man had formed the vacuum needed so that new life could restore his body to health and his mind to peace. Forgiveness is the answer. Most folks are afraid of the word forgive, thinking that it means they must do something unpleasant and dramatic. But the word simply means to give for, to let go of old ideas, feelings, or conditions, and to give something better in their place. The giving for process forms a vacuum and makes way for new good to rush in. I have discovered from talking with hundreds of people about their problems and from corresponding with hundreds more that inevitably, when a stubborn person does not yield, it is because there is a need for forgiveness. I have further discovered that if only one person connected with the problem will start the action of forgiveness, all concerned will respond. Be blessed, and the solution will come. For instance, a very wealthy woman became involved in a legal tangle over some of her deceased husband's business property. It was all very embarrassing to her because the defendant in the court case whom she was suing was a former family friend. In great distress, she attended a prayer group one night and poured out her plight to those present. To her dismay, however, the prayer group members did not become upset about her problem at all, nor did anyone seem particularly sympathetic. In fact, they completely surprised her by saying that her problem would be solved if she would forgive the man who she was suing. Aghast, she replied, "Forgive him? I only wanted you to pray that I would win against him in this court case. He has done such terrible things." But the prayer group stood firm. She left in disgust, but returned the next week and was again assured that forgiveness could solve everything. For many days after that, she began to consider seriously the power of forgiveness. One day, as she was driving along in her car, thinking of this former family friend with whom she was now at law, she cried out, "Lord, I humanly cannot forgive that man, but if you can, please forgive him through me." Suddenly, a feeling of great peace came, and she then gave thanks for it and dismissed the matter from her mind. A few days later, this man came into town and went to see her lawyer. He asked her lawyer if he might pay her a personal visit. Hesitantly, the lawyer replied, "I suppose so, but it would do you no good. If you want to settle this case, you will have to deal with me as her attorney." The defendant replied, "Oh, I do not wish to visit this lady to talk about the court case. I wish to visit her simply because we were once friends, and I always greatly admired her husband. I would just like to see her as in former times and talk of old times." And so in a friendly way he paid his call, during the course of which the subject of the court case finally arose. They amicably agreed to settle the matter quietly out of court, to the mutual satisfaction of all concerned. Thus, the power of letting go of fixed ideas, attitudes, and opinions which make way for more pleasant experiences. A forgiveness technique. Here is a forgiveness technique that can form a vacuum for whatever good your life seems to need now. Sit for half an hour every day and mentally forgive everyone that you are out of harmony with, feel badly toward, or are concerned about. If you have accused anyone of injustice, if you have discussed anyone unkindly, if you have criticized or gossiped about anyone, if you are legally involved with anyone, mentally ask their forgiveness. Subconsciously, they will respond. In like manner, if you have accused yourself of failure or mistakes, forgive yourself. Forgiveness can form the vacuum that will undam your prosperity and success. Mentally declare to others, God's forgiving love has set us free. Divine love now produces perfect results, and all is again well between us. I behold you with the eyes of love, and glory in your success, prosperity, and complete good. It is good to declare for yourself, I am forgiven and governed by God's love alone, and all is well.